Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dev Diary, where today we continue working on our game about preferential difficulty. Now, last time we added more options and ways to play the game, most of them inspired by some good old gamer salt. This included some real experimental stuff like giving the main bad guy some actual guilt. It was very odd and an unexpected detour. But for this episode, we're focusing on gameplay, specifically the main boss enemy. So let's get to the code. Inspired by my return to the Vampire Survivors clone, I've decided to handle the boss's attack patterns via structs. Now, the first quote-unquote attack is not an attack, but simply a multi-use blank buffer. More on that later. The first real attack is a shoot attack. Each struct runs on a timer handled via function. The shoot attack in particular is simply a re-implementation of the original shoot code, but using this new struct system. The only difference with this new code is the potential for the boss to do burst shots. So while visually nothing has changed with this attack, the potential for crazier, more dangerous variations is now possible. So with this system established, let's take a look at more attacks. The next attack is a dash attack. The attack is broken up into 3 states. The first state is the tail state, preparing the boss to attack. The second state is the dash attack itself, moving the boss in the direction decided during the tail state. And the final state resets the boss to wait to repeat the process. The first state's tail is depicted with a red line drawn in the direction that the boss intends to dash. This gives the player a fair warning of what's coming next. I should also note that this is all temporary, of course. Once themes and visual concepts are more established, these timers and states can be revisited, to refine them and better smooth out the experience. But anyway, that is the dash, so let's move on to the next attack. Attack number 3 is what I call a burst attack. It's a variation of the shoot attack, but more dangerous. Instead of firing a single bullet per count, the boss fires a flower-like pattern of 8 bullets. The results are something straight out of a shoot 'em up with a chaotic burst of bullets, also capable of multiple burst shots. Again, needs tweaking, but the basics are there, so let's move on. The final attack added this session I called the crater attack. A list of random points near the boss are generated. That list is then used to generate several collision circles. And much like the dash attack, these collision circles are activated after a short warning period. If the player is caught within one of these circles, they take damage. And much like the warning for the dash attack, these danger zones are first drawn to the screen during the warning phase. During the actual phase where they'll do damage, these circles are colored red. Now, as for other functions added, the bullet creation code was turned into its own function for quicker/easier use. The resetting of attack code was also made into its own function to keep everything in sync. And that was all I was able to get to in today's session. While it's not much and very rough, this was a good solid step forward for the project. The struct system guarantees a level of security in attacks by having everything be self-contained, which, assuming that the boss is kept in check, means we shouldn't run into any weird overriding issues and the like. Also, as stated earlier, the inclusion of the none attack has multiple uses. By placing the none option at the end of my enum list for attack names, this makes rolling through the entire list of attacks automatic. It also means I can establish an attack difficulty hierarchy at some point by adding threshold levels. So the shoot attack may be a level 1 difficulty attack, and the burst or crater attacks could be level 3. And because everything works through a list, so to speak, it should make the cycling of potential attack choices much easier. In theory, at least. Fingers crossed. A lot more work to do, but again, a large and solid step forward. So with that said, brings us to the end of today's Dev Diary. Remember that if you enjoyed today's entry, consider leaving a like. Be sure to also subscribe and hit that bell if you haven't already, and let me know what are some of your favorite boss attacks that might be fun to implement. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.